Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out on a Monday evening to support our event. I see introductions and networking has already started. We'll have more later. My name is Fang Fang. I'm the CEO and president of Greater Austin Asian Chamber of Commerce. This is one of our international market series about business and investment in Singapore. So during the next 1 hour and a half, this clicker is not working. Next 1 hour and a half, you'll have an opportunity to have a crash course on Singapore market through the presentation and a panel discussion, and you'll have opportunity to ask questions. And then you will participate in this trivia game and hopefully win the prize. And last but not least, have more networking opportunity, intimate opportunities to know each other over free food and free drinks. Does it sound good? Yes. All right, let's get the party started. All right, so first of all, I wanted to give a big shout out and thank you to our main sponsor of tonight's events, Enterprise Singapore. Enterprise Singapore is a Singaporean government agency that champions the enterprises locally in Singapore and overseas. And then we have two co-sponsors, Synopsys and Igloo companies. Those are the two Singaporean companies who have figured out the formula and expanded to Austin recently. So you'll hear more from their experience later on in the discussion. Next, I would also like to thank Capital Factory, our regional strategic partner, to provide this beautiful, wonderful venue, and Tito's Handmade Vodka as our beverage donor, especially the ones who are enjoying the Singapore sling with the Tito's twist. You should thank them. And they are also offering the prize for the trivia owner and winner next. All right? So, anyone who knows about the new Asian Chamber, since I joined 2 years ago, you know one of our main mission is to make Austin global while keeping Austin weird. We can't do it without our regional strategic partners. So I wanted to invite these partners and the co-host of our tonight's events to each has 30 seconds to introduce themselves and then their organizations. Let's start with, is Abdullah here with the City of Austin Economic Development Department? Not yet? Okay, let's start with Roland with Austin Chamber.
How many minutes?
30 seconds.
Oh, 30 seconds. My name is Roland Pena. I am Senior VP of Global Tech and Innovation, and I love Singapore.
And Ben.
Hello, I'm Ben Ramirez, Vice President with the World Affairs Council of Austin. Pleasure to be here. Thank you to our partners, and especially Fang Fang.
Thank you, Ben. And then Tina.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Tina Cannon with the Austin LGBT Chamber. Collectively, all of our chambers you see on the wall there for the minority chambers make up DECA, the Diversity and Ethnic Chamber Alliance, because we all work together all the time to advance Austin. So Tina Cannon with the Austin LGBT Chamber, and Fang Fang is my favorite chamber girl, just saying.
Thank you. One not so secret, all the local chambers are run by women leaders. All right. All right. So why do we host international market briefings? Austin is famous already among the country, and we attract the talents everywhere, especially East and West Coast. But now we have noticed the influx opportunity from international. International companies and individuals come to Austin to find out why Texas, why Austin, what did Elon Musk see? What did Samsung see? You know, what did Igloo company and the Synopsys see that we should also consider? Meanwhile, we have the Austin-based global-minded companies who wanted to have more information, business opportunities, and networking internationally. So that's why we designed this international market briefing series to connect the international markets, especially Asian markets, with Austin markets in the two-way street. So we'll have the ones about Japan, about Malaysia, and Mexico and Poland coming. So with our regional partners later on, check out our newsletter to follow and then come to similar events if you like to know, and then being part of the Make Austin Global movement. All right. And all this effort is actually paving the way to launch our very first Texas Asian Economic Summit next year. So that will be the true hub and a platform that attract international business and individuals to meet, connect, and thrive, flourish together. Enough, and then before we start, get back to the Singapore and learn more about the Singapore market, I'd like to lastly invite our board chair, Ahmed Maladina, CEO of the Seoul Technology, and our board chair-elect, Jessica Chen, CFO of Achieve Integrative Wealth and Health, to the stage to tell you a little bit more about our organization. Ahmed, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Fang Fang. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. What an amazing crowd that we have here. My name is Ahmed Moladina, as I said. You probably heard a little bit about the programs that the Chamber is having, but I wanted to tell you just a little bit, because I have a very limited amount of time. GAACC, or the Asian Chamber, Austin Asian Chamber, is a private, non-profit, member-driven organization. And so I wanted to make that clear to everyone that it's a 501c6 member-driven organization. We have a little over 700 members, businesses, organizations, civic organizations, and passionate individuals that are part of our organization. And we achieve our goals through three different types of products or events, if you would: advocacy, education, and connection. I would love to talk to you all more about that, but again, I have limited time for that. So next slide, Eric. We have a large board of directors on the screen. I'm not going to go through all of them. A lot of the people are here, so they can introduce themselves to you. But just for the sake of time, thank you all for being here, and please do talk to all the board members and see how we can work with you. Next, I'll introduce Jessica Chen, who is our chairman-elect, and she can speak more.
Well, welcome everyone. Let's first give a round of applause for our team, our board members, and our volunteers. I am so thrilled to share our strategic vision with you for our chamber. So number one, you've already seen it, make Austin global. When Mayor Adler took over the office in 2015, Austin was the 44th largest city in the US. Now we are the 11th largest city in the US. With such a rapid growth, business from all over the US and all over the world has migrated to our backyard. So GAACC, we want to provide the platform to be the super connector for the international businesses when they come to Austin, and vice versa when the Austin business want to expand overseas, especially in Asia. So number two, our strategic vision is prosperity for all. Our organization, as Ahmed has mentioned, is a member-based organization. We are committed to continue to deepen our roots in our local and regional communities. Several minority chambers have joined forces to form GAACC, and our international focus will also benefit and trickle down to local and regional businesses. So number three of our strategic vision is grow with us. This is an exciting time. We are continuously to grow our members and also to grow our team. So how do you stay engaged with us? We have, as you can see on the slides, all these different recurring events monthly, like this one, Singapore reception. We also have 2 big signature events coming up. So I want you to take out your phone and put these 2, okay, nobody's following my direction. Okay, I'm serious. Take out your phone. One of the events is on November the 7th for a golf tournament. The other one is on December the 3rd. I want to see all of you there in both November the 7th and December the 3rd. And if you don't know about our Ovation Party, it's the best party in town. So lastly, definitely not least, become a member with us today. We have made it so easy for you. We got the QR code. Do not put your phone away. Take a picture of that code. More importantly, put your credit card information in. Become a member tonight. Alrighty, without further ado, let me introduce you our very own board member and the facilitator of tonight's event, Mr. Clifford Chu. Mr. Chu is a senior advisor and an external corporate director for Vista Equity Partners. And I also want to ask all of you to join me and congratulate Ms. Chu for being appointed by President Biden as one of the member commission on the presidential scholars this month. So, Ms. Chu.
Very hard. Thank you, Jessica. Very hard to top the great speaker. So I know why you're here. Not for me. You're here to enjoy and learn about the Lion City, Singapore. Still called the Lion City, right? So without any further ado, I would like to ask our 3 distinguished panelists to come. Clarence, who is Executive Director for the Americas and Europe for Enterprise Singapore. He's representing, along with his colleagues, some combination of investment, trade, and innovation bilaterally between Austin and Singapore for this evening. Wade, please. General Manager for the Americas of Igloo Company, which is a leading remote access security solutions company for work and for home. And Dan, the co-founder and chief revenue officer for Synopsys. You guys heard of maybe fintech, financial tech, or edutech, education tech. This is reg tech, regulatory tech. And so reg tech is very serious business. Know your customer, KYC, and other solutions to make sure that when you onboard the client, they have given the customer a good appraisal. So how about we 3 sit down and start it up? I think this is perfect. We have prepared, not for them, but for you all, so we have to see how they reply, a variety of questions which we hope will educate you about what is Singapore, what is the opportunity, and then on a go-forward basis, either at the end of this event or later on with the representatives, to follow up. And if we can, as part of what Fang Fang said, to bridge the gap between interested people who are focused on Asia, focused on expanding sales or investment or others, then we've done our job in creating this kind of forum. So I'd like to start with a very macro question about Singapore. And in particular, could you advise us of the Singapore economic current state, and also how COVID in particular has affected? We know that, it hasn't abated yet. And in particular, what opportunities and challenge have the pandemic presented? Please.
Does this work? Okay, great. First time I'm using a mic like this, but I just want to say that it's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you, Clifford. Thank you, Fang Fang. Thank you to the Greater Austin Asian Chamber of Commerce and the partnership with all the chambers that are here today and every one of you. I just learned that most of you have not really gone back to office, and therefore taking day to day at this time to join us is really a great privilege to have you here. So I'm very excited, and I'm here to make friends. And I think all of us are here to make friends, and I hope you also drink the Singapore Sling as well, so that we can make friends. Thank you, Clifford, for that question. I would like to answer it, but before I do, maybe I could set the context. And I think nothing better than a lead into a slide I think our team has prepared. And I'll briefly probably share, first, what Enterprise Singapore is about. 2, light facts about Singapore, as you mentioned. And 3, where do we think we could work together or collaborate on? Then, if there are other questions, I'll be happy to answer those. Maybe the next slide, if it's okay. So a bit about Enterprise Singapore. We are actually a government agency that is under the Singapore's Ministry of Trade and Industry. And our main remit is really growing enterprises in Singapore, and we do so in a few ways. 1, we help them through productivity, innovation, internationalization. We are also the agency that promotes Singapore as a hub for trade and startups, and we are the national body for standards and accreditation. Quite a lot of things, yeah. But if you ever get confused, just know that we are here to make partnerships between communities in Singapore as well as with the international business community. For that, we have 35 offices all over the world, of which I have 2 offices in US, which is one in New York and the other one in Los Angeles. And just to give a perspective of where Singapore is, I'm sure most of you know, but just like to flesh it out. We're right in the middle of Southeast Asia. If you are wondering how far and how long it takes about maybe 22 hours to 30 hours by flight. But it won't feel long if you take Singapore Airlines. I'm just saying, putting it out there. Yeah? Right now, we don't have a direct flight to Austin, but with improvement in trade and investment, I'm sure that will come. But till that comes, already, we have Singapore companies here, and we hope to grow more. But if you do want to make a trip, there are options. Fly to San Fran, fly to LA, and there's direct flights. And New York, sorry, and New York. 3 hours each side, and you can fly directly to Singapore. And it will be an amazing experience because once you're on the plane, you feel like you're in Singapore. Singapore, we are a city in a garden. This picture is my favorite because it shows the biodiversity of flora and fauna, coupled together with the futuristic designs and the cosmopolitan city at the back, and with fun and work and play, right? So we have also fun in it. So we have our London Flyer equivalent called the Singapore Eye, the Ferris wheel. We are a multicultural society, people from mainly four major ethnic groups. So there's Chinese, there's Malay, there's Indian, and of course, we have also the Caucasians. Highly educated people, 40% of our people are actually having a degree. And like I said, we all like to have a bit of fun, so we are also the home of events, global events, ranging from the famous Formula One night race, the only one in the world, to also the very technical Singapore Air Show, which is one of the global air show of the world. Now, this is the part which a lot of Singaporeans like to talk about. Our food, right? We are able to have a very diverse Asian mixed kind of food. And that ranged from things like a spicy noodle-based prawn broth to all the way to a roti prata, which is like a Asian version of a tortilla. And also we have the influence of Indian cuisine like in the rojak, and also to our locally crafted recipes like the chili crab and chicken rice. And if you want to taste some of this in Austin, I'm saying that if we do enough business, probably I can bring some of them here in the next event with the Greater Austin Asian Chamber of Commerce, right? Okay. But yeah, there you go. But if it's not possible that you want to try even sooner, we are having a Singapore food hall open in the middle of Manhattan come September. So I would like to invite you, and when you do come to New York, I'll be happy to host you there as well. Next slide. So a bit about the business part. Like I mentioned, we're in the middle of Southeast Asia, where within a 6-hour radius, we reach a population of 650 million people. Singapore, in terms of our business environment, we are fortunate to have achieved some of the top rankings of the world. For example, competitive economy and the easiest place to do business. Also, in terms of innovation, IP rights and being digital. Just to give an example, to set up a company, to register, it takes 15 minutes. To set up a company, it takes 3 days, and it takes probably about $230 to do so. Next slide. We also have a robust and connected ecosystem to support the activities. For example, we are a top 5 global financial center. We are well connected through our shipment routes, and we have the world's best airport. In fact, I heard some of you mention that you have been there to see the new airport that we built, the facility with a waterfall coming down right through the roof to the bottom. That is an Instagrammable site, yeah. Because of these factors, we also have US companies based in Singapore, and this is a list, non-exhaustive, of which some of them you might be very familiar. They're Austin-based, like Silicon Labs, ACS, and Indeed, as well as Dell. We also have a lot of Singapore companies in US. In fact, Singapore is the top 5 largest investor from Asia, and we do have presence all across. I'm so sorry if these words are very small, but they do represent a list of companies in various sectors like consumer, infrastructure and logistics, technology, real estate, as well as consumer. And we have 2 companies right here, which is Synopsys as well as Eagle Company, right in the heart of Austin. So, partnering you, what are the opportunities that we can see with you in Southeast Asia as well as in the US? Southeast Asia has a large population and consumer demand. It has accelerated its digitalization, and there's increasing focus on being green and climate friendly. Therefore, we think there are increasing opportunities to collaborate in terms of innovation, where we can co-develop new products in Asia as well as in US. We can talk about supply chain resilience. In fact, everyone is saying that now is no longer just in time, but just in case. And Singapore has probably some features to do so. And lastly is really assessing Southeast Asia as a market through Singapore because of Singapore's connectivity, as well as its ecosystem, where we also have people who understand the region, all based in a location like Singapore. So these are some examples of how we can collaborate on innovation. We have actually had the opportunity to set up what we call an open innovation network. I think it's quite common, so I won't go into the details here. But what's interesting to highlight is that we already have partners from US, as listed there, in various kind of challenges where they decide to still tap on Singapore as a source of solution. Next, on supply chain resilience, there are some areas of capabilities in manufacturing, especially in high-value manufacturing that Singapore has, like aerospace, electronics, biomedical science, marine offshore, precision engineering, and energy and chemicals. And we believe that that could also be a partner for you should you choose to expand into Asia by working with Singapore companies in these sectors. This is one of my favorite slides, not because it's very busy, but it shows some of the very interesting points. And maybe to summarize it is, did you know that it is probably quicker to find shipment routes from Dubai to India via Singapore? Only because the options on shipping routes are a lot higher through Singapore. So Singapore's connectivity does help with your transshipment need as well as supply chain resilience. Next slide. And if you are a retail company or you're a product company that's seeking to enter direct to consumers in Asia, we also have a plethora of companies which can help cover the e-commerce strategy and provide the platforms and solution to make sure you are able to fulfill transaction and end-to-end distribution and fulfillment. So this is quite a lot of information in these few slides, but in summary, these are 3 things that we think we can work with you: innovation, supply chain resilience, and assessing the Southeast Asia market. So I'm sorry I took such a long time, Clifford, to answer that very simple question, but I hope it covers most of the areas. So with that, I just want to say thank you. Yeah, thank you.
A comment, Clarence, about COVID and that impact associated with Singapore, whether, you know, the players, what type of impact, slowdown, if any?
First, COVID has been tough on everyone. The lockdown situation in Singapore is actually quite stringent. The only reason is because we're a small country and we really do not have any alternative places to go should the cases of COVID spike. And therefore, the hospitalization capacity is key. For those reasons, we did maintain strict closures for a long time and we closed our borders. What that means for business is that first, do I have access to supplies? So we were able to put in measures to ensure priority industries, businesses do not get affected. So we granted special arrangements. However, there was still the domestic sector. And I think that is where we were very concerned because our market is small, we are very international, our market is international for most of Singapore companies, and they couldn't quite travel anymore. However, we thought that the best way during this time is to help them emerge stronger. We invested a lot to accelerate digitalization. In fact, during just 2 years alone, we have actually helped about 120,000 Singapore companies look at digitalization, and about 50% of those were really about e-commerce because they have traditionally not been doing so, and helping them to transform and help to still do businesses wherever they can. So you'll see restaurants moving to takeouts, deliveries, and I guess a lot of models will be very similar to what you experience here in Austin. But there is a strong support from the government to incentivize, to also walk side by side with the companies, and also to give the solutions. As the situation improved, we realized that really there are 2 main things that has changed globally. Supply chain resilience. That's the first. Second is about the digitalization and connecting for sustainability. So the first thing that really worked out, what we experienced, I wouldn't say worked out well, is that there is a need for companies to look at the +1 strategy. That means if I originally had depended on one country to look at source of supply or intermediate goods, I now have to source for another one. Singapore companies itself has presence in Singapore as well as in Southeast Asia. And I realized that that offered alternative solutions for companies who are seeking for a +1 location as an alternative source. So that changed. Secondly, there was an increasing push of the region to look at sustainability. And I think in Singapore, we have actually invested a lot of time earlier in efforts, for example, greening, in also looking at recycling. So we recycle our water. That's a separate story. I probably would share that later. And we definitely look at how we can enhance that even further. So we invested a lot. And the 2 things that came out was, 1, we needed to make sure a stronger push to encourage sustainability. So we set up our financial system to actually encourage formation of green bonds and to promote green financing. And the next was really about technology. And there was renewed investments by the government as well as private sector to look at what new technologies we could do to enhance the use of technology for purposes like plastic recycling, for looking at e-waste and so on and so forth. So I think those are the two main things that we saw also shift as a result of the pandemic. Yeah.
Thank you. You know, for Austin businesses, Clarence, you mentioned Singapore and then South Asia, and I think we all know the location of Singapore as a launch pad or as a segue into Southeast Asia is also just as attractive. And so for the members here today, could you share some of the either countries or some of the previous patterns? Come to Singapore and then go where else in Southeast Asia? And this is to sell just as much as supply chain.
Thanks. I also would like to feel free to chip in if some of you have. Yeah, I hope so. First, we believe that a company must act in your own best market. So there are some markets that are huge and big, and you should be in the market for the market. So if China is a main target for you, please do go into China. And Vietnam is a big market too, as well as Indonesia. Singapore is only a 5 million population. So we often are not seen as the market, but we're seen as two things. One, if you really want to have a quick 101 about Asia, we hope that you will consider Singapore. For the very reason that it's in the center. It has a multicultural population, and they also have a huge number of global companies, as well as Asian companies, where you can work with to understand how to look at the market entry and go-to-market strategies into Asia. So a quick 101 about the condition in Singapore before you step into that. And we've actually had many companies do so in various sectors, especially in manufacturing, consumer, as well as services like financial services, because there are preferences as well as regulatory differences, which sometimes you could also get a quick 101 from Singapore. The second area, sorry, yes?
No, I was just saying also the taxes in Singapore is lower compared to other countries.
Thank you, thank you. Any other comments from people from the floor who have been to Singapore? Sorry.
Can you give me some example of any construction company in Southeast Asia using Singapore as a launch pad to go to the US market?
To the US market, construction company, I would say that it is far and few. Singapore's construction companies primarily do have some presence in Southeast Asia, as well as Middle East, Africa, for very specific kind of projects. For example, waste to energy, water treatment projects. It is not your roads, bridges, because Singapore, again, we don't have that many roads and bridges. We don't have interstate train systems. So our main strength is really in those areas. So no. And therefore, as a result, coming to US for construction, even fewer. Those are not some of the strengths or competitive advantage for Singapore companies in US.
Though, Clarence, I would propose Singapore is the home to American multinational companies, more than Japan, more than Hong Kong. As home to American multinational companies, as regional hub, if I were trying to sell my construction services and I wanted to do it without parachuting in and out of the US from my home country, I would at least have business development types to talk to all those multinational companies that are between Singapore and what they call second regional headquarters, which is Malaysia. They usually have the administrative in Singapore and a maker, the manufacturing in Malaysia. And that would be a natural audience for business development. Whether that leads to anything or not, my guess is that connectivity then will make a much warmer introduction when you do visit the US for actual deal making.
Thank you. Thank you, Clifford. I don't know if Clifford, would you have, if it's okay that I also pass the time over to Dan as well as to Wade, also to comment about what some of the developments in Asia you see and why are you here in the US?
Okay, I'll go first. So basically, right, Singapore is the hub of, financial services. I think most of you guys know this. And also, most of the people move from, with the recent Hong Kong, most of them are moving their businesses or financial hub to Singapore as well. Take, for example, the Goldmans, the JP, they are moving all their premises to Singapore itself. And from Singapore, we are going to places like Indonesia, Cambodia. There's a reason as well for these financial services. We are actually trying to get into people who are unbanked. There are a lot of people who are unbanked, not like us. We have, passports, and we can travel as and when we want. There are people in that segment of the group that don't even have a passport, don't even have a national ID, and Grab, who is our Singapore main listed company that I guess most of you will have heard of, is equivalent to Uber and Lyft over here. They actually go from door to door knocking on mountain sites or domestic site where you don't see like our nice buildings over here in Austin or in Singapore, and getting them to get banking and doing loans, microfinancing, etc. So Singapore is a hub for most people in that sense to the respective Southeast Asia, and we are quite big and huge on this, especially in the financial services. And at the same time, I will agree with Clarence on regulatory. We are considered forerunner of regulatory. I mean, including, we always say that US is a litigious country, but following the laws itself, Singapore actually follows it very closely. So if you make a mistake in Singapore, we are called the fine city, right? You heard of that. If you chew a chewing gum in Singapore, you'll probably get fined. If today you walk into an MRT station drinking water, you'll get fined. Not unlike in New York, you can drink water, right? But if you walk into our train station and you drink water, you'll get fined. So our regulators are very, very concerned about, all the, financial services that we are bringing across. So regardless of whether it's the Securities Act or even, in the KYC ML space, or rather in the compliance space, we are the go-to in Asia. So
Except drinking water.
yeah, I really need to drink water.
Drinking water is fine, yeah.
Yeah.
It's littering, so, okay.
Yeah. So that's pretty much that. Yeah, so I guess that Singapore is a hub to most of the financial services.
Yeah, I would add as well that, as a Singapore company, we relied on those financial services as a startup and have since expanded into the US. We'll get to that in a minute. But, in understanding the opportunity in Singapore as the gateway to Asia, it is real. It's very real. And I'll go back to my days in 1980, and I'm going to date myself here, in the military. My first visit to Singapore, I fell in love with the country. I fell in love with the landscape. I fell in love with the modernization of the city itself, the landscape, the gardening, the water supply then was fairly decent, if I recall. But more importantly, being a lifelong Texan, although I was born in Florida, got here as fast as I could, I loved country music, and I still do. And lo and behold, my dad was a pedal steel guitar player and recorded here in Austin many, many years ago. And I'm in Singapore in the military looking for a country music joint to go hang out at. And I found one. And the guy was playing pedal steel guitar, and I could not believe it. It was excellent. But my point to this is that they were a very modern city back then. And the infrastructure, the financial infrastructure, the technical infrastructure, the supply chain infrastructure, and the management, and the ability to expand into Southeast Asia, we manufacture. Our home office is in Singapore. We manufacture in 4 different countries in Southeast Asia because of the ability that we have that was made available to us through the Singapore government, the ministry, Enterprise Singapore specifically, And it just has allowed us to flourish as an organization, as a company, and to expand globally across the globe. We operate in 120 different countries across the globe. We have 10 locations outside of our Singapore headquarters, Austin being our America's home office. Europe, South America, Mexico, Australia, completely autonomous to our individual opportunities and individual operations, but all go back to our ability to leverage what we can do out of our Singapore headquarters and the ability that the local economy has given us there and the reach into Southeast Asia particularly. So it is the hub. And I just reinforce what you said. I think that's fantastic.
So 2 more questions, and this is all for the members. How to ring the cash register or think about ringing the cash register. The first question for Clarence and any member on the panel is if I'm an Austin business and I want to either sell into Singapore and South Asia or I want to produce, how could I appear the most attractive to Singapore, and in particular, Singapore companies that possibly I could partner with? And then, let's say we are what we are for expansion and sales. There must be some Singapore companies, as you point out, this is the 5th largest country of business for investment. What about the Singapore companies who consider Austin? What exactly are they looking for? How could this group of Austin companies prepare itself for partnership? So either which way, how to make business there or here to be the most appealing to a Singapore partner?
Thanks, Clifford. This is a very important question. And I think, first, Asia is really a growing market. And I think if you are looking at that area to expand, you must have a lot of questions about how do I start? How do I know the consumer market? How do I look at distributing? How do I look at payments? Simple things like that. Who do I work with? Now, Enterprise Singapore's role is really about connecting. I mentioned we have 35 offices all over the world. We also are looking at helping our Singapore companies at the same time. So we believe in a win-win partnership. For that, what we can work with you on is share with us your plans, brainstorm with us as Enterprise Singapore. We could give you our thoughts on what are the possibilities, who you can speak to, and direct you to that. In fact, we always do business matching in Singapore. Always, right? When it comes to business setup, when it comes to administrative details, we also have a list of partners that we work with who could direct you and support you. And I think if you like more information on that, we could supplement that with that to you through email as well. We have a full deck. So that's the first thing. See us as a partner to sort of brainstorm and see who are the initial group of Singapore entities you could work with in the region. Secondly, for Singapore companies looking into US, we are primarily still around the coastal metropolitan cities in US, most of it. To Austin, it is almost at the tip of the lips of almost a lot of tech companies that we have been speaking to that says, Austin, it's growing. How? What? Where? What is this strength? And who do I speak to? I think this is where I would like to also say Enterprise Singapore would like to work with you to understand your business, to understand your interests, to understand whether there are parts of Singapore products and solutions that you are open to work with. And I think that is a very simple answer. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you. And now to wrap up, we're going to ask each of our panelists, starting with Wade, please to share for Igloo Company, what are you looking for in Austin, among Austin partners and marketplace? How could local Austin companies work with you?
I appreciate that. Good question. I think that, being a technology company, and technology meaning that we're a smart access platform, secure smart access platform company that marries technology to real estate opportunities, partnerships with fintechs and prop tech companies, and even the commercial security market space to deliver access solutions remotely, meaning that, think about this, you're in Africa, you're an owner of Airbnbs, let's say you have 40 of them. You want to manage access to each one of those, but you're on a vacation, but you happen to be the owner-operator, you have to respond to a need that someone has to get into a property. You can do that with the technology that we have developed remotely, right from your phone, without ever having to visit the lock. It's amazing. It's like, it's based on OTP technology from the banking world. It's algorithmic by nature. And what it allows you to do, and this is really what we're after. We're after a sharing economy, sharing goods and services remotely as an economy, as a people, as an existence, right? We want to make sure that we're making your life, anyone's life, whether they're at work, whether they're at play, or whether they're just living life, much easier and much more efficient, so that you can spend time with your loved ones and you don't have to worry about going on vacation and being away from your business, right? Being a technology company goes a little deeper for us in that we want to change the world that way, right? And we're looking for partners that, like-mindedness partners that believe that technology can do that. Those are the types of partnerships we're looking for and have been introduced to here in the Austin area, thanks to Enterprise Singapore, thanks to the Austin Asian GAACC, and to the Austin Chamber of Commerce. They have introduced us, and I've been here, again, I'm a lifelong Texan. I grew up in San Antonio. When we decided to expand into the US, we've been here for about 4.5, 5 years now with our B2C business, e-commerce mainly. You can buy us on Amazon, right? But our B2B business was new. That's where my expertise came in. I came here to really help foundate our business. Being from San Antonio, I was pro San Antonio. Nothing against San Antonio, but I am so grateful that we landed our home office in the Americas in the city of Austin, because the support that we've had with everyone that's associated with this conference has been phenomenal for our organization. We started off with one a year and a half, year and 3/4 ago. I'm getting ready to hire my 10th person here in the US because of that. And our business is exploding. And it's because of the opportunity that not only the companies that I just mentioned and their partnerships and relationships have given us, but the ability that the technology networking that's available in Austin has allowed us to go through and really connect with LA, connect with Seattle, connect with New York, connect with Miami, connect with Dallas, connect with Minnesota, and all the technologies, support systems that are available in those partnerships with us. So I just thank everybody that I just mentioned very much, bottom of my heart, and you know, we're going to prosper, and we're going to prosper together. And if you have, and this is a Singaporean company, and again, I got back there, like I said, got to Texas as soon as I could. I'm glad it took me 35 years. Although it took me 35 years, I'm glad I got back to my connection with Singapore. So I appreciate the time. Thank you guys for listening to us today.
Thank you, Wade. Hey, Fang, you know Robert Lee at Pearlstone, he's got a set of real estate that's exactly up their alley, based on my observation. Since he's not here, you please introduce Wade. Really, I can tell, just listen. Of course, but there's an example, okay, of matchmaking without half the match. Dan, over to you. Same question. What kind of companies you looking to partner with here in Austin and help these members help you?
I think first of all is to build an ecosystem. You know, Singapore did very well in terms of ecosystem of financial technology, right? So first of all, I think building an ecosystem of financial services and technology firms coming together. A group of companies works most powerful and, you know, tapping into each other's clients will help us to grow revenue, right? And we grow the community as well, and we get different walks of life of people coming in here, regardless whether it's coming from California, Malaysia, Singapore, or whatnot. So these are things that I will probably be looking out for in terms of Austin, and also hopefully Singapore Airlines will work with Austin in order for us to get a direct flight here back to Singapore. Yeah, that's something that I would love to have, because I seldom go home nowadays. So if there's a direct flight, I'll head back, right? Yeah, yeah. I think that's one key connection. And finally, getting the financial services. Austin is a tech hub, so financial services should also be good. So we should move, digitally. If you look at New York, if you look at some of the biggest state in financial services, Austin could be the first city in the whole entire America to run digital, right? So that should be the way I would like to see, more of the Austin companies working together collectively to get us there.
Thank you. Thank you. So we'll wrap up here, Clarence. Any parting, concluding comments about Singapore? And in particular, maybe something that hasn't been raised, some best kept secret sauce about Singapore that you can inspire us.
What could inspire all of us is to plan for a trip to Singapore. In fact, I don't know if I'm okay to say this, but Roland is going to Singapore in January. And Abdallah is going to Singapore in January. And there are a few, maybe you could go with them. Maybe you could, and we will be there, right? And we could then show you what it is and talk about business. And I think that is the most important thing. We just want to make things happen. I think I will be very frank to say that we are quite a pragmatic people and organization. We will be very frank about opportunities as well as challenges. And I think what's more important is that we are also very clear that nothing really beats seeing it for yourself. And therefore, with that, that's my inspiration, I hope. Yeah.
Yes, no, I, as a witness to, over the last 40 years, going to Singapore and seeing it's a true miracle. And part of it is the people and what you've created and the opportunities that are open to anybody who's industrious with a good solution and who's willing to kick the tires and visit. And importantly, this is the gateway to Asia, particularly Southeast Asia. And Singapore is viewed as a thought leader. So if you're in Singapore as an Austin company, I think that Thailand, Malaysia, Vietnam, other countries, at least respect the fact that you've made it in Singapore, you understand South Asia, and give you a chance. So part of it is go and see, as Roland and others are going to. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much to our panelists.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry. I missed the most important. I'm so sorry. Who will have a question, please? Sir.
What's the plan for Enterprise Singapore to have an office in Austin, Texas?
What it takes is that we have just a lot more trade and investments going forward. And that's my role. And having said that, it doesn't mean we are not present in Austin. I have made, since this year, this is my second trip here. My colleagues have made at least three trips. And we operate, like I said, out of LA as well as New York. And we are serious about wanting to deepen the relationship with Austin. Like I said, we are pragmatic, right? We want to showcase, we want to show results, and therefore show the office. That's it.
Another question?
Would you give just a brief intro for, let's say, a health tech company coming into Singapore? What would be the initial steps?
So I was also asked a quick question back. Is there a specific segment? Is it more the pharma health tech or digital healthcare in general? Because there are different approaches, if you don't mind if I...
Services and technology for healthcare providers.
Okay, got it. Singapore has also, through the pandemic, as well as like all over the world, really started to invest in innovation, as well as in the area of remote consultation. So digitalization and services that comes with it are very important. Secondly, I believe that there are a few areas which have also started to become a concern for us. For example, we are an aging population. So there is a silver economy. And therefore, if you're in the health tech space, this is also an area that you could look at, because from there are other regions in Asia or Asia Pacific at large that also have similar demographics which you can expand to from there. For example, currently, I just saw an update from my colleagues in Australia that have also shown an increasing opportunity in that space, and therefore we are looking at doing more through those markets. But of course, there could be more details which I'll be happy to share. So that's the market specific, right? Secondly is to enter, actually it's very straightforward. You do need to look at the regulation, whether they require any certification, and we could direct you to those FDA equivalents. Like for us, it's called the HSA, the Health Science Authority, especially when it covers either services as well as pharmaceutical products that require some of those regulations. And lastly, who do you need to work with? Singapore's healthcare setup is primarily a public system, but it is, how do I say this? It is a system which I think has high quality, and they also invest a lot in technology. And I would strongly recommend that talking to some of the public healthcare institutions first would be a good step. And this is very interesting. Why? Because most countries that I've been to, like I just went to Brazil last week, is the opposite. You do have to look at the private healthcare system first, because that's where they invest a lot more and look at doing clinical trials and so on and so forth.
And this is where thought leadership associated with Singapore. If you can do it in Singapore, a lot of other emerging Asian countries look and they say, wow, this is something that works, it's a great use case, and it's a sense of endorsement and referral. It will allow you, I believe, to have again, a warm introduction in some of the other countries.
In the past few years, the banking regulation of Singapore was tightened. So like company in the US, US citizen want to open the banking account in Singapore, we need to be there for quite some time. So any relaxing of the bank regulation in the near future on that aspect? And the second question is, like you mentioned, very easy to incorporate a company in Singapore from US. That's great, but do I need to be there to incorporate? Can I remotely incorporate it and have everything operation remotely at the beginning before I actually put some staff people in Singapore?
Your first question when it comes to opening account, to set up an account actually is also straightforward for anywhere, not just Americans, right? There is no specific regulation that I know of. And I guess when you do have a relationship with the bank, it's also easier. So unless I probably get some specifics, I could probably address that better. I must admit I'm not too aware of any regulation yet, right? I don't know, what do you think? FinTech expert here.
You
Yeah.
have to be there to open the
Okay. Do I have to be there to open an account? Would you like to answer that? Yeah.
Okay, so you have to be there physically to open an account because you need the signature, right? You can run from the 16 ABS banks. I work in one of the banks in Singapore previously, so you need to be there physically. To your second question about incorporation, I think that is a fast track. Now with Singapore FinTech running, incorporation for companies, you can even do it online digitally. The only exception is bank accounts. Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to turn to the more fun, but not necessarily more informative, but more fun section. Fang Fang, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Clifford, Dan, Clarence, and Wade for your very engaging and informative discussion. Next session is going to be fun. So if you have a phone, take it out. So we're going to learn, still informative, trust me, the fun facts about this country, this unique and wonderful country, through a trivia game. So take out your phone. This time you don't need a credit card. And scan that code or go to menti.com. This is going to be the interactive trivia game session. And enter the code. There's an 8-digit code. We'll wait for a few minutes. And the winner will get the mysterious gift bag provided by Tito's Handmade Vodka. You sound some motivation right here. All right. Thanks for all the likes. All right, are we ready? Not yet? At any time, you can go to menti.com and use that 8-digit code, 8564-0685. At any time, you can join, okay? Okay, we see more players are joining. 8564-0685. It also shows on top of the screen. All right, everybody in? Let's get it started. So there are 9 questions. You gain points by answer it right and answer it fast. The first one, the name Singapore is derived from Sanskrit. What is the meaning? Dragon City, Tiger City, Lion City, or Monkey City? Oh, wow. You guys know about Singapore. Is that all your team, Clarence, playing? All right. Let's move on to the second question. Ready? Make sure. How many islands make up Singapore? Speed also matters. Okay. How many islands make up Singapore? There's some hint in that map. Oh. Learn something new, huh? Clarence didn't even know that. Fun fact. So although Singapore is one small island itself, but there are many, many islands and islets that make up Singapore. Some of them are created by land reclamation since 1965. So that actually increased its size by 23%. You can build another Singapore. Just keep doing it. All right, the third question. Ready? Go. What is the national mascot of Singapore? Lion, Singapore cat, lionfish, or merlion? Time is up. Nice. What is merlion? What is merlion? We actually give you some hints in that, if you think about Singapore, that fountain. All right, the leaderboard, who's leading? Sud R. Oh, okay, all right. Louis and Tony? Okay, all right. All right, keep going. Question 4. Ready? New York boasts 68 Michelin star restaurants among the population of 20 million. How many Michelin star restaurants does Singapore have among their 6 million people? This is kind of a gotcha question. Do you know the answer, Clarence? Oh, all right, we have more winners. Yeah, Clarence said the food is part of the magic. All right, we're halfway through. 5th question, ready, go. Which of these is not an official language of Singapore? They know a lot of languages. 3, 2, 1. Time is up. You got it. You know lah. Singlish lah.
Singlish always likes to end off with a mix of Malay or dialect. So it's a mix of all the languages that we speak. So fundamentally, that's English. But we also like exclamation, like, how are you doing today? This one like that, lol. Right? It's meant to exclaim the emotion that we feel. So I just thought that was fun, yeah.
Thank you so much, La. That was very informative, La. Okay, so a total of 27 Singlish words have made it into the Oxford English Dictionary. You better know the answer, La, by now, okay? 6th question. Ready? Go. Singapore has the 2nd largest what in the world? Port, subway system, or airport? 2, 1, time's up. No wonder with all those islands. Do we have a leaderboard? Oh, Seth is still leading? No. Oh. Hey, Choi, Wan Kim. Good. Wow. Okay. All right. This is American. You're not done yet. Or come back. All right. 7th. This is the last portion of the question. Ready? Go. Which business sector is the largest contributor to the Singapore economy? Which contribute to 20 to 25% of GDP? You give up? Oh. Did you get it? That's tricky. Trade. Singapore is a trade-dependent country, and the trade to GDP ratio was 338.31%, more than 3 times of its GDP. Is it wrong?
Sorry, I heard murmurs about Singapore manufacturing. Really? Yes, it's about 20-25%. Actually, the rest are services in totality. But when you break it down into subsectors, that's where the next highest is actually financial services. Yeah.
Nice. All right. 8th question. Go. The Singapore Botanic Garden is the only tropical garden in the world to be honored as what? If you've been to there, it makes sense because it's just magnificent. Yeah, it's not a regular garden in your mind, it's blow you away. All right, last question, everyone ready? What type of housing do the majority of Singaporeans live in? private condo, HDB flat, bungalow, kampong. You got it. All right, you wanted to explain, Clarence?
HDB is actually a government agency called the Housing Development Board. So they actually develop our public housing. And I guess the picture is up there. Of course, we have gone through many phases of growth, but this will be the latest design of a public housing in Singapore, which sometimes do come also with certain amenities as planned nearby. For example, some may have been near a swimming pool or an amenity center. Within it also would have things that are pre-fitted. For example, your flooring, cabinets, or even lightings as well. So it comes in different options, but this will be a picture of what public housing is in Singapore.
81% of the residents in Singapore lives in this housing. Isn't that amazing? Public-private, partnership model. I think that could be inspiration to solve Austin's one of the biggest problems that we're facing here, and we're working on that, affordable housing, right? All right, did you get it? Before the final score, please use one word to describe Singapore in your impression. What do you know about Singapore? Use one word, you can use multiple words, but one word at a time. Humid, beautiful, leadership, global, modern, interesting. Okay, I lost track. La. Of course, la. Okay. All right. Food. I see that one. That's bigger because more people type in food. Global gateway. Say this. Thank you. All right. International. Crazy Rich Asian? That's true. Okay. All right. So who is the winner? Oh, I changed. Joy. Oh, it's eventually chose. Great, congratulations. I'd like to invite our board member, Ali Katal, who is going to be the Austin Chambers board chair next year as well. So you can expect more collaboration between the local chambers on this international engagement opportunity to present the gift set for our winner. What's in it? Show them.
I guess in this process we all learned a lot about Singapore, right? Yeah. It was really good. Thanks, Clarence. A lot of knowledge there. And this is for you, but don't drink it all in one night.
I'll try. I can't promise. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ali. All right, that wraps up our program, but you have until 7:30 to network, meet new friends, enjoy the rest of your time.